Good morning, students. In the previous classes, we have discussed about the enzymes, that almost enzymes are proteins, as well as we have discussed about the nature of enzyme action, as well as about the activation energy. Today, we will discuss about the factors affecting the enzyme activity, as the activity of an enzyme can be affected by a change in the conditions which can alter the tertiary structure of the protein. So we have discussed in the part of the amino acids and the structure of the protein. There we have discussed that this is the primary structure of the protein, in which the amino acids, they are in a linear chain arranged in a sequence held together by peptide bonds. Where we have also discussed regarding the secondary structure of protein, in which they were in two forms. The first one was in the form of alpha helix, and the second structure was in the form of beta pleated sheets. Both the structures, they were strengthened with the help of hydrogen bonds. Then afterwards, we have also discussed in the case of enzymes that these primary structures or the secondary structures, when they coil upon themselves and they make the tertiary structure, and within the tertiary structure they makes the certain loops, and these loops, they forms the active site of the enzymes. As we have discussed that the enzymes, they are functional due to present only in their tertiary structure. So we can say the activity of the enzyme can be affected when we alter the tertiary structure of the protein. So if we will alter the tertiary structure of the protein, obviously the activity of the enzyme would be altered. And these will include the temperature, pH, change in the substrate concentration, or binding of specific chemicals which regulate the activity. So the first factor, which is temperature and pH. As we know, enzymes, they generally function in a narrow range of temperature and pH. Mean to say, they function optimally up to a maximum limit within a specific temperature range. So each enzyme shows its highest activity at a particular temperature, and pH called the optimum temperature and optimum pH. For example, here we have plotted the graph showing the effect of change in the pH also, as well as temperature. Upon the x-axis, we have considered, suppose, the increase of the pH, and on the y-axis we have taken the enzyme activity. So we can say the activity of the enzyme is maximum at a particular pH, and when the pH, it increases up to more from that limit, the activity of the enzyme declines. Just to like, the activity of the enzyme also declines whenever the pH, the optimum pH which is required for the action, it is decreased. So at a particular range of the pH, we can say the activity of the enzyme is maximum. Just we can correlate if we take the sense of temperature. In the sense of temperature, if we can say the enzyme activity is also optimum within a certain specific temperature. If the temperature declines, then also the enzyme activity decreases, and if the temperature increases, then also the activity of the enzyme, it decreases. So we can say that activity declines in both the cases below and above the optimum value for the case of pH or temperature. We also know if we lower the temperature, it preserves the enzyme in a temporarily inactive state. So means if there is an enzyme, and we know that almost enzymes, they are made up of proteins. So whenever we try to freeze them, then what happens? The enzyme, it becomes inactive. Whereas if the temperature it is increased, so whereas when the temperature it is increased, the denaturing of the enzymes would be observed, because the bonds, they get broke down due to high heat, as the heat, it provides the energy due to which the denaturing of the proteins, it takes place. Now the second factor is the concentration of substrate, means the enzyme has to bind with the substrate, and the concentration of the substrate will affect the activity of the enzyme. So as with the increase in the substrate concentration, the velocity of the enzymatic reactions rises at first. For example, if there are 200 molecules of enzyme, and firstly there are 20 molecules of substrate, then what may happen? Sufficient number of molecules of enzymes are present. The substrate, they will bind to the active sites of the enzymes, and they will break it very instantly. Suppose the number, it increases from 20 to suppose 100. Then also these number of substrates, they would be again maybe binded to these molecules, because the number of molecules of enzymes, they are surplus, and they can bind with the substrate, and they can break them down into transforming them into products. Now if the suppose the number increases up to 200, means 200 molecules of enzymes were there and 200 molecules of substrates are also there. In this case, obviously all the 200 molecules of the enzyme would be bounded to the 200 molecules of the substrate, and we can say the enzyme will perform its reaction at this time also in its specific way, in a same manner and with the same pace. But if the number of substrate molecules suppose increases more than 200, suppose it increases to 250, then at this time what we may observe, that there are only 200 molecules of enzyme and 250 molecules of substrate. So already the 200 molecules of enzymes, they are saturated. So at this particular specific point, we may say that the enzyme has reached its maximum velocity, means beyond which it cannot attain more limit, because already it has reached the saturation point, so it cannot bound to more number of substrates. So suppose, let us consider in this graph, do we have plotted upon the x-axis the concentration of the substrate, upon the y-axis the velocity of the reaction. Now as the concentration of the substrate is increasing, suppose at first it was around about 20, the velocity was up to that particular level, and when the molecules increase, the molecules of the substrate increase, suppose 100, the velocity of the, we can say, the reaction was also increasing. Now as more number of substrates it was added, suppose 100 to 150, then 200, then what do we have observed in that case? That as there were 200 molecules of substrate and 200 molecules of the enzymes, they all have been bonded and they have been saturated. If there is further increase in the concentration of the substrate, it will not show the increase in the velocity of the reaction. So the reaction ultimately reaches a maximum velocity, which we call it as Vmax, which is not exceeded by any further rise in concentration of the substrate. So if we increase much more concentration of the substrate also, then at that time also the Vmax cannot be increased up to that beyond limit. So this is because the enzyme molecules are fewer than the substrate molecules. As do we have discussed, suppose we were having 200 molecules of the enzymes and the substrate molecules were 250. As do we have discussed here, if there were 200 molecules of the enzyme and the substrate molecules, they were 250, so already the enzymes, they have reached the saturation point that they will not be able to bound the extra number of the substrate molecules. So there are no free enzyme molecules to bind with the additional substrate molecules. So we can say this is the saturation point at which the velocity is maximum. Means to say all the active sites of the 200 molecules of enzymes, they are bounded to the 200 molecules of substrate at that particular specific time. When the reaction would be proceeded, it would be completed. Then afterwards, the term for the rest over of the substrates would be fulfilled and they would be binding now with the molecules of the enzyme in the second term. So obviously the time would increase and we can say so the velocity has reached to its maximum, or we can say at its saturation point. Now there is one more aspect, which is Km, means the half of the maximum velocity, means when the velocity of the reaction, it is just half. At that particular point, the concentration of the substrate would be called as Km. It is a constant which stands for Michaelis-Menten constant. So we can say the concentration of the substrate at which half the maximum velocity of the reaction is reached is called its Km value, which is Michaelis-Menten constant. Now we'll discuss about the third factor, which is competitive inhibitor. As the activity of an enzyme is also sensitive to the presence of specific chemicals which binds to the enzyme. So when the binding of the chemical shuts off the enzyme activity, the process is called inhibition and the chemical is called as an inhibitor. So we can say a chemical or a substance which has a molecular structure and shape similar to that of the substrate is called as competitive inhibitor, as it competes with the substrate for the active site of the enzyme to be bound. So we can observe in the diagram, the enzyme has been shown here, its active site and a substrate and an inhibitor. Its molecular structure and shape is similar to that of the substrate, so it inhibits the process and it binds to the enzyme and forms and occupies the active site of the enzyme and it makes it unavailable to the substrate for the reaction to occur. So obviously the active site is occupied by the inhibitor and it is not available to the substrate. So the reaction does not occur. For example, the inhibition of succinic dehydrogenase by malonate, which closely resembles the substrate succinate in structure. So the enzyme succinic dehydrogenase, it catalyzes the conversion of succinic acid into fumaric acid. So we can understand by the equation that succinic acid, it gets converted into fumaric acid in the presence of enzyme succinic dehydrogenase. There is a competitive inhibitor of the succinic acid or succinate, which is the malonate, which is having the same molecular structure and shape. So if the malonate, it binds with the succinate dehydrogenase, there is no reaction, hence there is no any such type of formation of fumaric acid. So these types of competitive inhibitors, they are also often used in the control of bacterial pathogens. For example, we know in the case of a bacterial cell, it is having a two membrane. The outer wall is called as the cell wall and the inner cell membrane or plasma membrane. And the antibiotic, which is penicillin, what it causes? It binds with the specific site of the enzyme which is responsible to form the cell wall. We know bacterial cell, they reproduces and they increase their number. So during the process of cell division, when the content of the cytoplasm increases, and as the content of the cytoplasm is increasing, what it may cause? It may cause the pressure upon the cell wall. Obviously, the cell wall, it is not being formed as the enzyme which is responsible to form the cell wall. In the case of the bacterial cell, it is bounded by the antibiotic penicillin. So due to which it creates an competitive inhibitor, and due to which the cell wall is not formed and ultimately the bacterial cell doesn't survive. So that is also an important fact through which we can control of bacterial pathogens. So till so far here, thank you. Have a nice day.